Well, folks, this is the first show of the Hurry Up. I'm your host, Adam. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs tonight. Now, we're going to go over all the playoffs, the matchups that are about to happen, and of course, the game that's going to happen tomorrow in Oklahoma City against Memphis. Let's take a look back at this semis round. We'll start with the Bulls right now. The Bulls played the Atlanta Hawks, beat the Hawks in 6 games. They just recently beat also the Pacers in 5 games. This Bulls team has come out and played fantastic. They've come together, they play defense, and you know what they say: defense brings the best offense. So what do? They play great defense. Tom Thibodeau, Boston Celtic defensive coach last year, now is coach of the year. Got his team number one team in the NBA. Now they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals against who? LeBron James and the Miami Heat. That's right, I said it. LeBron James and the Miami Heat. Normally it would be Dwayne Wade's team, but being that everybody's talking about LeBron James because of his game uh, that he had last night, which he kind of held the team together. You can say it's LeBron James team for now, but let me talk about this. First off, LeBron James is not a closer. I was listening to some radio stations this week, and they were saying how LeBron James is a closer. He's not a closer. He's never been a closer. He never was a closer. That's what his problem was in Cleveland. He can carry a team. That's great. You can carry a team. A lot of people can do that. But it's the guys like Jordan, Kobe, who can have off shooting nights, but given the ball in the last 2 minutes of the game, it's done. It's a wrap. When I say LeBron did closed out the game last night, yeah, he had a good game last night because Dwayne Wade didn't do it. But Dwayne Wade does make everybody else better, just like LeBron James does. LeBron James doesn't always go for the game-winning shot, as you saw in Cleveland. He passed off sometimes to Danielle Marshall and those guys, and they missed the shot, and then people were confused. But to say he's a closer, not quite there yet. But it's getting there. As far as championship goes, it's going to be a great series next series. Bulls, Miami. A lot of people are picking Miami already just because of what happened, just because they got the big three in Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and of course LeBron James. Well, I am not one of those guys. Not quite yet. Especially because there's not a lot of depth on that Miami bench. You know, and you got guys like Corver on the Bulls, and dang, those guys can shoot the ball. And if their three ball goes down, if the long ball goes down, that could be the end of the series for the Miami Heat. Plus, they play defense. You don't understand. Most teams, this could be a defensive game. I don't expect too many games in the hundreds at all. I think maybe you'll get like 86, 92, something like that. A couple of those games because it'll be a defensive struggle. There'll be a lot of highlights. A lot of highlights. Because of that. So take a look at that game. The next team we're going to talk about, we're going to switch over back to the Boston Celtics real quick. I know they lost to Miami. It's going to be tough for them to regain that, but they are tired. They will be having a long off season, so we can see if they actually do pretty well this year. Next year coming up, they just signed, or they're about to sign, or in negotiations, I should say, with Doc Rivers, which is actually pretty key because they thought he was going to leave. So if Doc Rivers comes back, this is pretty good for the Boston Celtics. As far as the big three go, Paul Pierce is locked up long term. Ray Allen and Garnett have contracts up until next year, which means they'll probably come back next year. I think they'll come back next year and really put forth the effort. You saw normally they're gonna put some pieces together. They're gonna mesh. I don't know. Think Shaq comes back. If he does, it'd be great. But he would have a reduced role. He'll be 39, and the big man at 39 is pretty intense to hold up an 82 game season. So we'll see about that. Unfortunately, Boston was one of my teams to go to the NBA Finals, and yeah, well, we all saw how that worked out. So yeah, we're gonna move over to the Western Conference. Now, the Western Conference. If you had told me that the Memphis Grizzlies would have made the playoffs, I probably would have laughed. I probably would have bet money they wouldn't have made the playoffs. That's how confident I was. But they're in it. And who do they play? The number one seed in the San Antonio Spurs, which is another team I picked to go to the NBA Finals, and they came up short against the Memphis Grizzlies, who, by the way, have the better of the two Gasols at the moment. Sorry, Paul. Anywho, getting back to what I was saying, the Memphis Grizzlies have played well because their bigs play well, and their guards feed off their bigs. Their bigs can score from 15 feet, they can score layups, they can score inside, and basically, if you have an inside game, people have to crash down, which is going to leave your shooters open, which makes their team deadly. Because if they have some knockdown threes from Mike Conley and a couple of their other guards, then you know they can be scary. Now with Rudy Gay, we don't know exactly how they'd be. But they'd probably be more improved. They'd be a little more lethal. Probably would have been the seventh seed, sixth seed. We don't know. We don't know. He was out in February, but their team is playing with heart. Unfortunately, I think their magical ride comes to an end tomorrow night in Memphis. But I wouldn't put it past them to win. It is Memphis. They are tough at home. Um, this series looks like. I mean, the Oklahoma City has to win one on the road. They did win one on the road in game five. Um, excuse me, in game four. In game five, they won at home, obviously, but they went to three overtimes in game four, which is pretty impressive. If you're watching the game, it's one of those classic playoff basketball games, one to remember. Now, let's talk about OKC. OKC is a great team. They're fun to watch, but the problem that I have with OKC is when they don't move the ball and they kind of give it to Westbrook and Durant. There's no ball movement. They get kind of stagnant. When they get kind of stagnant, they're no good. So watch out for that. They need a lot of ball movement. They need Kendrick Perkins to have a huge game, and I can see them winning this game and heading off over to Dallas to play them. But the Oklahoma City Thunder, they had their series with the Nuggets. Wasn't really much of a series. It was fun. Um, Oklahoma City ran up and down the floor. Denver is still inexperienced with that particular team. I think they can do well, but we'll have to see. They're out. They're playing golf right now. You know who else is playing golf? The LA Lakers. Woo! The LA Lakers, boy. Man, for all you Laker fans out there, whew, that must have been painful to watch. Must have been painful to watch. Joy for me, but painful for y'all. Let me tell you, the Lakers should have been. This series should be going to Game Five right now. It should be tied 2-2 going to Game Five in LA. But LA failed to seal the deal. What's funniest part about LA is that they were leading in the All Star break, coming out the best team in the All Star break, and then they kind of fell off down the stretch. And I kind of was telling some people, not to toot my own horn, that you know the Lakers might be in trouble if they falter down the stretch. They ended up falling down the stretch, and it ended up catching up with them in the playoffs. Now, New Orleans, everyone's like, oh, New Orleans didn't really have a shot to beat the Lakers talent wise. Didn't have bigs. They played hard in every game they were in. They kind of exposed the Lakers to pick and roll, but they got out physical. They were basically beat up in that game. New Orleans didn't have a chance, and when they lost um, Game Six, basically when they lost Game Five, it was over. But they won two games, and they had a chance to win a third, but they didn't. So it happens. Then the Lakers went on to Dallas, or excuse me, Dallas came to the Lakers, and it's funny because if you told me the Lakers would have been swept, I would have been like, I would have put money on the fact that the Lakers would be representing the Western Conference in the finals than Memphis Grizzlies advancing further, possibly advancing further than the Lakers, or even continuing their series longer than the Lakers. Funny how these things worked. Anyways, game one, absolutely a steal by Dallas. Absolute steal. Absolute steal. I mean, Dallas basically gave the game away in the first half. They gave him 11 points in like 7 seconds, like a technical foul, a couple threes, and then another foul and three, like Jason Terry fouling a guy from 40 feet out. You can't do that. But somehow Dallas found a way to win the game, even though they had more turnovers than LA. Game two went to Dallas. It was more bench play. Game three, again, the Lakers had a chance to win that game and just couldn't put it together. And Dallas somehow ekes out a victory. Then you have game four. Game four. Why didn't you bother showing up? Lakers didn't bother showing up. I'm surprised. I'm surprised they did not come out and play for one of the best coaches, arguably the best coach in NBA history, for his last game. You're the LA Lakers. You're Showtime Lakers. You represent the Western Conference. You've been in most of the NBA Finals in your storied history. And you go out like this? I mean, Odom shouldn't have been ejected. That was a bit of a touchy call. But Bynum, come on, man. Come on, man. That's JJ Barea. He's 5'0" nothing. 5', you're 7'1". He's 5 nothing. Now I understand if that was Dirk or somebody a little bigger. I understand that. I understand you're embarrassed. You want to take it out on somebody. I get that. I get that. But this is the big leagues, Playboy. This is the big leagues. It's Bush League, man. Especially since you did it to Barea. Come on, Jason Kidd. He's 38. You could have done it to him. He would have got up. But JJ Barea, like Mighty Mouse out there, he shouldn't even be playing. But you threw an elbow to his neck piece. Come on now. Just uncalled for. But Lakers enjoy playing golf. But here I will give it to Laker fans like this. All right, in 3 years, they won 2 NBA championships, meaning they've played a total of almost 300 games in 3 seasons, not including this one. That we can push it almost to 400, right? So that's a lot of games for those guys, and they're all pretty up there in age. Kobe 33, Powell 31, 32, Artest pretty old. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty hard for them to be, to really, really be upset with the Lakers. And plus, a lot of them played on the Olympic teams for their respective countries, so they played a lot of basketball in the last 4 years. So maybe this is time for them to regroup, get a new coach, maybe Rick Allen, maybe Brian Shaw. Who knows? Who knows? Rick Allen would probably be a good choice, but we may not see Phil again, and we may not see this Laker team again, together at least. We don't know. Barring a CBA collapse and a lockout, which we'll get into next show, we could see the Lakers being broken up. A lot of rumors about Dwight Howard and Andrew Bynum and all this stuff, all hearsay. We won't know until the final gun goes off. But folks, as of now, this has been your episode of the NBA Hurry Up. Look for the NFL coming real soon. We're going to talk about the lockout, try to touch on the draft a little bit, and see where this is going. May 16th, look out for it. Dallas and OKC. Pretty good Western Conference matchup. I'm calling it right now. And obviously Miami and the Bulls. Who represents each in the finals? I'm going to go on a limb here. And I'm going to say, only because Dallas has the experience, Dallas against the Chicago Bulls. That's right. The Miami Heat fall kind of short this upcoming playoffs in the Eastern Conference Finals. I know y'all are going to have a lot to say about that. I can't wait to hear the comments. Let's get it done. This is Adam. This is the Hurry Up. Peace.